Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of Saviour of the Soul, a Hong Kong film from 1991 that could be classified as an action, romance, comedy hybrid. Ching, played by Andy Lau, May-kwan, played by Anita Mui, and Siu-chuen are famous mercenaries who capture wanted criminals for a living. However, they are involved in a love triangle. See, Siu-chuen is in love with May-kwan, but May-kwan is in love with Ching and has expressed her feelings for him. May-kwan blinded the mentor of Silver Fox, played by Aaron Kwok, and the fox seeks vengeance on her. So you have a love triangle and an action conflict that comes into play that kind of blows everything up. Now, within the opening 10 minutes, you're going to know that this one is something different, okay? Aaron Kwok shows up and obliterates like dozens of armed soldiers to rescue his master, who's being held in prison. That scene is insane. But it gets even more ridiculous after that. This movie is very off the wall, and the characters use like swords, projectiles, and various other forms of crazy and creative weaponry. There's a scene where two characters are running around a table, and one of them gets a gun out and shoots a bullet. And the result of that scene is the perfect representation of that movie. So when that scene comes, you'll know what I'm talking about. And of course, flying cloth is used occasionally, which will not surprise fans of old school Hong Kong action flicks. So in terms of action design, yeah, off the wall is how I would describe this one. You know, the fight scenes are definitely on the weird side and have even a slightly horrific feel to them. So, for example, one character uses a special move to possess other people and have them fight for him, which I thought was pretty cool and a little bit creepy, too. This definitely has kind of like an urban fantasy vibe to it, because although it's set in contemporary times, the character abilities and some of the weaponry are more like a fantasy film, I thought. It definitely has that kind of feel to it. The finale is lengthy and fantastic in its entertainment value, completely ridiculous, of course, and something you'll never see in almost any other movie. Now, this was directed by Kor Yun, a man who gave us films like Yes, Madam with Michelle Yeoh and Cynthia Rothrock, The Legend with Jet Li, and So Close with Zhao Wei, Shu Qi, and Karen Mok. But one thing that sets Saviour of the Soul apart from most of his other films is the visual aesthetic in this. The set designs and the lighting in this movie are actually quite fantastic. I really liked the sets that he chose and just the overall, I don't know, the visual, it's eye candy. There's a lot of eye candy in this, which is not something you see that often in this guy's other films. He really kind of pushes his artistic sensibilities in this one, and I think this is one of the best looking titles in his entire filmography, really. Andy Lau is likable as usual. The lead actress, Anita Mui, big time popular actress back in the day, big time, plays two different characters in this, which is rather odd to see because one of them is very over the top. She does a good job, though. She does. And I gotta hand it to Aaron Kwok, man. You know, he's good in this. I always had the opinion that he's a very inconsistent actor, and he certainly is. But I've enjoyed some of his performances in a handful of films like Throwdown, The Monkey King 2, and The Detective. You know, he plays the villain in Saviour of the Soul, and he's delightfully evil and a bit creepy. So, good on him. I liked him in this. Now, in terms of flaws, the script writing is basically crap. I gotta be honest with you. I mean, you will not get a very compelling story or a lot of character development, but it almost doesn't matter because it's entertaining to watch regardless. You know, if every movie on the planet was required to spend boatloads of time developing stories and characters, I would probably find a different hobby because movies would be too similar to one another to justify watching so many of them, right? I need a lot of variety in my cinematic diet because movie watching gets very stale without it, right? And watching a movie like Saviour of the Soul is kind of refreshing. It really is. It's nutty stuff, but it's refreshing for its uniqueness, its creativity, and its entertainment value. I really enjoyed this one. Now, I do think that the action is well spaced throughout the runtime, but there are sections of the opening half that do focus on some cheesy romantic comedy content. Some viewers may not enjoy that too much. Like I said, the script is weak, so we're treated to some head-scratching dialogue and some loony humor. But thankfully, we do have a very talented cast to help to make it work. There's a scene where Andy Lau punches a woman in the face and then pokes another woman in the eyes, Rowdy Roddy Piper style. And I would be lying if I said I didn't laugh, because I did laugh during that scene. There's another scene where Andy Lau threatens a door that won't close properly, and I found it amusing. I don't know. I must say that I did find the humor in this film to be better when I rewatched it recently, because I saw this one years ago, and I don't know. I thought the humor was more charming than your typical Hong Kong comedy, and I can't really explain why. But I bet it's because Andy Lau's in it, probably. So, just a warning, though, because some viewers may not like the comedy in this, and there's quite a bit during the opening half. And finally, I do need to point out that the editing during the action scenes is pretty intense. Again, should be no surprise. People who are familiar with the fantasy-style flicks from Hong Kong should expect that, because there was quite a bit of editing tricks used back in the day. Especially when people are jumping and using superhuman abilities, because they didn't really use that much CGI back then. So you'd use wires and then use editing tricks to kind of to make the scene work. But they do a pretty good job using it. You can always tell what's happening. You know what I mean? And there's so much creativity in this film. I give the editing a pass. I didn't find it that distracting, but you do notice it, especially if you're a purist, like an action flick purist, where you love those wide shots where you can see everything, you know what I mean? But it's good action despite the editing tricks that they use. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Saviour of the Soul is definitely worth a watch for those of you who want to get a dose of the genre-bending madness of Hong Kong cinema, and it's moderately available on DVD in the United States. You might need to buy it used, though. And as always, I'll see you next time.